Well, it was a trailer, all right. It was definitely a trailer. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video with Swaggle. And in this one, we need to talk about how yesterday we got the drop for the Agatha All Along trailer, everyone's most anticipated Marvel Disney show. I mean, it's kind of like the spiritual successor, spiritual sequel to WandaVision, which even to this day, I still enjoy that show for the most part. Is it a perfect show? No, it's not. Does it have some really cool elements to it? Yeah, I definitely think that it does. Would it have been cooler to have Mephisto actually in the show? 100%. But hey, what do I know? Why would it actually be cool to see characters that we are all familiar with in our favorite comic books show up on screen? But either way, in this video, we need to talk about the Agatha All Along trailer. Seems like it got a lot of views, but I gotta be honest, guys. When I watched it, I felt nothing. I just felt nothing. And I don't think I'm the only one, because comic book buyers felt nothing as well. No FOMO going along in the secondary market. And I'm going to do a little bit of a market report. But of course, before I get into it, if you guys could like, comment, subscribe, I appreciate it. Helps support the channel doing things. But let us get into this video here today. Now, yesterday, we did get this trailer. And like I said, I felt nothing. Were there any surprises in it? I mean, not really. I mean, we see Aubrey Plaza's character here, who apparently she's playing a person named Rio that's not a comic book character. I mean, we're going to talk about a comic book that relates to, you know, a loose association to the character that she is basically playing. But again, I don't really understand the idea of why Marvel chooses to use characters that are not already in the comic books. Actually, I take that back. I know exactly why Marvel chooses to not use characters within the comic books, because then they have more control over those characters. You know, if you use a character from the comic book, then you have to actually abide by the pre-established lore and attributes of that character. And maybe even worse, from a business side, you actually have to pay royalties to the creators that created that character, which is probably ultimately the real reason that Disney doesn't want to overdo the characters from the comic books. But, you know, we got this and we saw a bunch of images and there were witches, and then the music went ba 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 ba, and then Agatha said, "I'm not looking for those kind of witches," and then it was like ha ha ha, and then it was like you know, that was a trailer. You know, I've seen it before. You've seen these types of things before. I get it, man. What happened to trailers, man? Trailers back in the day used to be good. They used to be so good. I feel like trailers now are just paint by numbers. Every single trailer that comes out, it's the same thing, right? Starts off with the slow piano music, the single keystroke. Boom. Boom. You know, maybe it's like a theme that was synonymous with the movie before, but now it's like the slowed down version of it. Thinking about you, Beetlejuice. Daylight come. Boom. You know what I mean? It's like all this stuff. And then it goes dun 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 dun, and then we see like, oh, it's Wanda Maximoff, her name tag there, and then the music picks up, and then there's a bunch of quips that kind of have the music drop out for, and then it hits the trailer, and I don't know, man. I just don't feel it anymore. I know this is a comic book YouTube channel, but let me be on my soapbox for a second. Whatever happened to themes? What happened to themes? If you make yourself more than just a man, if you devote yourself to an ideal, you become something else entirely. A legend, Mr. Wayne. I mean, goddamn. Will we ever hear something so incredible in a superhero movie ever again? I mean, that's one of the big problems with this version of the MCU. It's like we're just getting plot. We're getting no theme. We're getting no motifs. Like, who is Agatha? What does she stand for? Who is her character? You know what I mean? Agatha All Along is not a character. I mean, the entire trailer was just telling me that she needs to get the MacGuffin witch powers back so she can get out of her spell. But what does that mean? What does that stand for? You know? I can do this all day. I am worthy. I am Iron Man. All of those things mean something more. There's substance behind those statements. There are thematic first principles that are identifiable to those characters that came before. But for Agatha, I don't know anything about her. I don't know who she is. And so when I watch her trailer, I feel nothing. But I digress. Let's talk about some comic books here, guys. We got to talk about what's going on in the comic book market. Here I have the Key Collector list pulled up, highlighting all of the Agatha books. A bunch of books that you've seen before. Of course, the most obvious one is Fantastic Four number 94, the first appearance of Agatha Harkness. Of course, one of the books that, when we got WandaVision, this was one of the ones, I'd say next to White Vision, that really, really started the FOMO train. And man, oh man, has this book really, really fallen from grace. At least as far as where it was, at the height of the comic book market. But when we go over here to eBay, coming off the trailer, how many of this book sold? Not a lot. Really not a lot. And that to me is kind of the story. This is July 7th, so where do we see? July 8th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 sales. I guess on an average day, pre-trailer, maybe you get 1 or 2 sales. So, hey, that's 5x, right? The book has gone up 500% in the last couple days. But this is a far cry from where we used to be, back in the day when people were going nuts for this stuff. And, again, I can't really fault the comic book market. Even if the trailer was the greatest trailer we've ever seen in the history of trailers, how many more of this book was actually going to sell, right? I feel like this was a key that got overinflated in its position, and there's just not that many more people that are going to feel a need to add it to their collection, at least not right now. Maybe over time, the book will continue to get more popular, but yeah, this is just one that really, really has fallen off. Let's take a look at this one here. Universal copies, 1,526 on the census. 9/8 have 10. Let's see the 9/4, 75 right here. 30-day moving, $488. Where is that relative to? Oh my God, look at that graph, guys. 1,795. Those were the good days, man. Those were the glory days. Back in April of 2022. Now, all the way back down to $488. 2 live auctions. This one on Golden Auctions and then a previous one on Heritage for $480. Fixed price, though, $748. Not too long before that. Look at the difference in value right there for the fixed price versus the auction. But it's still pretty impressive that this book is at $488. Before we ever got the show, look at this thing. It was a $289 book, a $200 book back in 2018, 2017, $260. It's not really one that has ever really been a major key and really just got way too overinflated. And I'm sure that this was a time where the census was much, much, much lower. There's probably been so many copies that have been sent in to CGC over the course of the last 3 years. Certainly more in the last 3 years than I would imagine had ever been sent in before. Here you see 9.0 selling for $365, 7.5 selling for $118, and a 6.0 selling for $85. But yeah, honestly, not too much excitement for this book. It's still a cool early, sub 100 Fantastic Four book. It's just, I don't really necessarily know if people are buying it because they need Agatha Harkness's first appearance, or if it's really something that is a must-have for your Fantastic Four collection. Now, the other book I kind of wanted to focus in on was this one right here, Uncanny Avengers Annual Number 1. Now, Key Collector says this is the first appearance of the Emerald Warlock, a powerful sorcerer feared by the Scarlet Witch and Agatha Harkness. As speculated in Nick's picks, week 129, original character Rio Vidal, portrayed by Aubrey Plaza, is in the Darkhold series, will be inspired by the Emerald Warlock. So, why they didn't just call Aubrey Plaza's character the Emerald Warlock out the gate, I don't really know. Maybe later on in the show, it's going to be revealed that, Rio is the Emerald Warlock. Like, she's going to have a moment where, I was the Emerald Warlock all along, and she'll have her own song, and everyone's going to go, oh my God, even though nobody really knows the Emerald Warlock, so it's not really going to be that big a surprise. It'd be way cooler if she revealed herself to be Mephisto. That might be cool. But either way, this is the book that is being associated with her character, and not even this book can get much traction, based off the trailer in the secondary market. Here we are. Look at sold items. 1, 2, 3. That's it. 3. 3 copies of this book right here. $8, $2, and $2.70. But snark aside, the book, really just isn't all that much in demand. There's just really no speculation. There's no FOMO going on for this type of stuff. There's a lot of new listings that we can see coming in to capitalize. But unlike the Deadpool Wolverine trailer, and the Doctor Doom cover of Secret Wars and stuff like that, that actually caused a lot of movement in the secondary market, I just think that collectors, people, don't feel much right now for Agatha All Along. Last two books I kind of wanted to check on were Young Avengers #1 and X-Men #4. Of course, Young Avengers #1, first appearance of all the Young Avengers. We did get Wiccan in the trailer, or at least the actor who we've been told is going to play Wiccan made his appearance in the trailer. And this book right here is just one that I felt like kind of highlighting. And again, we could just sort of talk about how it's really, really fallen off. I mean, 5,841 universal copies, 2,403 9/8 on the census. I mean, that's a very, very good 9/8 rate. Even with a black cover that came from 2005, I mean, 41% 9/8 rate is pretty good for this book. Or I should say, makes it a really easy book to actually get in 9/8. I mean, you would think that a black cover from this year would be a little bit tougher, but it seems like people took good care of their copies. And look at this thing. I mean, last couple sales, slash price of $275. Here's a fixed price, $225, $261, $219 auction. I mean, a lot lower, obviously, from the $1,000 book that it once was. I mean, what was the record sale for this thing? Looks like $1,300, May of 2021. I mean, even in 2020, this was a $300 book, $350 book. I mean, early 2020, it was $230. There were times in 2019 that this sold for $335. So where it sells today is actually lower than that of where it was selling, back in pre-COVID times. And I think, again, this has to do with probably the inflation of the census. This is the problem for a lot of these books that got hot in connection to the Phase 4 Marvel projects because, a lot of the censuses have been inflated and the prices still have yet to normalize for this. But Young Avengers #1, apparently they're not going to do the Young Avengers movie anymore. I mean, frankly, that makes a lot of sense to me. It would be a movie that would be so hard to command a box office if you're actually going to have, the likes of the next generation of superheroes trying to put butts in seats. You're just going to have a really, really hard time. And the expectations will be too high for, characters of this caliber. I mean, it's just best to sort of insert these characters as side roles within main character movies. All right, last book before we wrap up the video here is this one that I felt like doing a check-in for. Of course, we're talking about X-Men #4, the first appearance of Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch, Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, the Toad, second Magneto cover, which is always kind of nice. The first time that Magneto is facing the cover. Of course, in X-Men #1, he's got his back turned to us. But a really, really cool book. I mean, I've always loved this one. In my personal opinion, I kind of feel like this book has been, underrated or was underrated, before we got WandaVision and 2021 craziness. 3,069 universal copies, 3,500 total, 9/8 have 2. Hasn't been a lot of sales here at the top end. In fact, this is actually one of those books that I don't see it sell as much at the top end, say 7.0 or higher. And when I say don't see it sell as much, what I mean is I don't actually see it, go up on weekly auctions as much at Heritage. I do think that this book, generally speaking, is slower to move in the high grade, in the good way. 6 O's here, 30-day moving is $2,000, 5 O's, $1,800, 4 O, $1,500. Take a look at the 4 O because I'm pretty familiar with these prices. Of course, back in 2020, $685. February 2020 for this book, jumping all the way up to $3,300 in 2022. So clearly way ahead of itself. And now kind of where it sits back to the $1,000 price point. So still, like most books, the floor has been elevated. Holy moly, look at this. $1,000 for the auction at Heritage, $2,200 fixed price. I mean, talk about a online flip right there. You could buy this book for $1,000 at auction, sell it for $2,200 on eBay. I mean, don't say that you can't find deals online, boys and girls, because the deals are out there, if you're patient and you are looking. Anyways, that's all I got for this video. That was me doing a little bit of an Agatha All Along market report. Watching the trailer, I didn't feel very much, and I kind of feel like comic book collectors didn't feel very much either. Not a lot of movement for books out there in the secondary market. And I think that that's kind of the story. I mean, I do feel like X-Men '97 moved the needle. I do feel like Deadpool and Wolverine moved the needle. And it probably has to do with, frankly, that those characters and shows are just more popular. Agatha is just not a character that has the same sort of fan base or audience that is interested in her type of content. But that's my opinion. What do you guys think? What did you guys think about the trailer? How did you guys feel about any of these key books moving out there in the secondary market? What do you guys think about Fantastic Four '94? Is it something that you want to have in your collection? Is it a book that you have in your collection? Let me know in the comments. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. See you on the next video.